I have counted up all of the unread books that I have got on my bookshelf. The ones that have the pages facing out are the ones that I've already read. I've done pretty well with this shelf here. This is a shelf that I really need to work on. I always forget at least one. The fifth wave needs to go this way because I have read that. Romance books, and I feel like generally do quite well with romance. Here we get into my stack of summary books. Coming down to this fantasy shelf, again I've probably read about half. I am currently missing the masterpiece because I have lent that out to my friend. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video I thought I would take you guys through my bookshelves and show you guys all of the unread books that I have got on my bookshelf. This is a video that I have filmed I think for the last 2 years. In the previous 2 years I have had more unread books on my bookshelf than the previous year, and unfortunately this year that is the case as well. I have counted up all of the unread books that I have got on my bookshelf, and the total number that I have is 402, which is quite a lot. Like, that is a lot of unread books. Thought I could take you guys through and we could have a look at all of those books and what they are. The bookshelves are kind of laid out so that we have like ones that have the spines facing out and then ones that just have the like pages facing out. The ones that have the pages facing out are the ones that I've already read. And in this video too, I will skip over my husband's books because my husband and I are both readers and we keep all of our books in this room here. It's not just mine. Without further ado, let's check out all of the unread books that I have got on my bookshelf. Since in my bookshelf tour we started with the non-fiction and Christian, I thought for my unread books we'll start with my big set of 4 Billy bookshelves and this little one over here. So I'm also not going to go into details of like the decor and things that I've got on my bookshelf because I'll save them for my bookshelf tours. But if you have any questions on anything, feel free to leave it in the comments. Starting with my holiday shelf, I've done pretty well with this shelf here. I just have 2 Halloween books left, The Ex-Hex and The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling, which I hope to get to this October. So I've just moved the plants. So coming down to my YA thriller shelf, so I have standalones on this side and series on this side. As you can see, I have a bit of work to do on this shelf. Dangerous Lies by Becca Fitzpatrick, Summit Lake by Charlie Donnelly, The Girl in the Mirror by Rose Kalili, Pretty Girl by J.C. Burke, The Cousins by Karen M. McManus, Ace of Spades by this author. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. The entire Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy by Holly Jackson. So I have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Good Girl, Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead. How to Find a Missing Girl by Victoria Wolosock. It's spelt like that. One of Us is Next and 2 Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. The Lying Game by Sarah Shepard, which is the first book in the Lying Games trilogy. Every Move by Ali Marnie, which is the 3rd book in the Every Breath trilogy. We move down to my psychological thriller, and as you can see, I have a lot of work to do on this shelf. My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, Dear Amy by Helen Callahan, Truly Madly Guilty by Leanne Moriarty, Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson, The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, Darling Girls by Sally Hepworth, Find Me Before They Do by J.S. Monroe, Vanishing Girls by Lauren Oliver, Normal People and Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, and 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher. Moving down, we come to my adult thriller shelf. I do have some books from the shelf that I am loaning out to friends that I have read, so it probably looks like I haven't read as many as I have. Same with some of the other shelves, but in general this is a shelf that I really need to work on. Lock Every Door by Riley Sager, The Last Word by Taylor Adams, The Winners by Frederick Bachman. I think that this is the 3rd book in the Beartown trilogy. The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, Breathless by Amy McCulloch, The Party by Robin Harding, The Maidens by Alex Michaelides or Michaelides, We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz, Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, The Night She Disappeared by Lisa Jewell, 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty, The Interview by C.M. Irwin, The Silent Patient, again by Alex Michaelides She's All Michaelides. Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, and also The Family Upstairs by the same author. Playing Dead by Julia Heberlin, and then The Perfect Wife and The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and then Gone Girl, Dark Places and Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. So moving down here, we have another complete shelf of adult thrillers that I have not yet read. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy by Stieg Larsson. So we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. First two books in the Housemaid trilogy by Frida McFadden. So we have The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. John Grisham ones, I need to do a little bit more research as to what ones I do want to read, but I do think I want to give The Associate a go. So coming across to more of my books, Tell No One and The Stranger by Harlan Coben, Husband's Secret by Leanne Moriarty, Force of Nature by Jane Harper, and the last one by Alexandra Olivia. So just if you wanted to see, these are all of our horror books, but I don't read horror, so we will be completely skipping over this shelf. Moving on to the second bookshelf. So up the very top here we have Havoc by Jane Higgins. That one is book 2 in a series, so I need to get book 1 first to read. The Young Elites by Marie Lu, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. That is the first book in the Scholomance trilogy. Companion for the Hunger Games by Lois H. Gresh. The Lunar Chronicles here, and the first book in the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer. Cinder, Cress, Scarlet and Winter, so that's the Lunar Chronicles, and then Renegades. All the books in the Mortal Engines series. So they are by Philip Reeves. So we have Mortal Engines, Predator's Gold, Infernal Devices, and A Darkling Plane. The Giver by Lois Lowry, and then the Ready Player One duology by Ernest Cline. Ready Player One and Ready Player Two. Moving down to this next shelf. I feel like this shelf up the top was definitely a lot better than this one here. So again, coming into my books. Requiem by Lauren Oliver. This is the last book in the Delirium trilogy. I always forget at least one. The fifth wave needs to go this way because I have read that. That was also one I don't think I turned around in my last video. Gone series by Michael Grant. Gone, Hunger, Lies, Plague, Fear and Light. Wool by Hugh Howey. This is the first book in the Silo trilogy. The complete June trilogy by Frank Herbert. June Messiah, Children of June, and then Chapter House June. Now moving down to our last sci-fi and dystopian shelf. In here normally lives Generation 1 by Pittacus Law. That book I have loaned out, but I have not read it yet, and it is part of the sequel series to I Am Number 4. So book 2 is The Fugitive 6, and book 3 is The Return to Zero. In my I Am Number 4 series, I have lent out The Power of 6, again by Pittacus Law. Again, have not read that. And then continuing, The Rise of 9, The Fall of 5, The Revenge of 7, The Fate of 10, and United as 1. First two books in the Greenbone saga by Fonda Lee, Jade City and Jade War. There's always a few that I have read that I always forget to turn around. Two books by Andy Weir, The Martian and Project Hail Mary. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. I saw Jack review this, Jack Edwards. This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amel L. Motar and Max Gladstone. The last two books in the Legend trilogy by Marie Lu, Prodigy and Champion. The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Zoo by James Patterson, and then that's the last one of mine on that shelf. Moving down to our mystery shelf here. Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. The Brutal Telling by Louise Penny. Before You Knew My Name by Jacqueline Bublitz. Fashion Victim by Sam Baker. Counterfeit by Kirsten Cheng. Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is the first book in a duology. The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. The first book in the spin-off series to the Inheritance Games, The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. The Descendants by Kai Hart Hemmings. The Dry by Jane Harper. Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste NG. I don't know how you pronounce that surname. The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. Again, I do think I want to read The Client by John Grisham. And then the last one of mine on this shelf is Blood in the Water by Caleb Rohrig. That's part of the Hunter Killer book series. So also on this mystery shelf here, I am missing Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I have just currently lent that book out, but that is the first book in the series of the same name as well. Then this rainbow shelf here is my like general fiction shelf. This one I have read as well. 2 books by Candice Bushnell, The Carrie Diaries and Sex and the City. First 2 books in the Devil Wears Prada series by Lauren Weisberger. The Devil Wears Prada and Chasing Harry Winston. My Sister's Keeper by Jodi Picoult. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. Trinkets by Kirsten Smith. The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. The Last Anniversary by Leanne Moriarty. And then 2 Frederick Buckman books. Britt Marie Was Here and A Man Called Ove. What Would Mary Berry Do by Claire Sandy. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Just Between Friends by Rosie Nixon. The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. 2 books by Jennifer Weiner, In Her Shoes and Best Friends Forever. Better Luck Next Time by Kate Hilton. Another Frederick Buckman book, Anxious People, and Ace of Spades by Sandra Owens. Then the last shelf on this bookshelf here is all of our historical fiction, and as you can see, I have not read a single book on this bookshelf. City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert. The Paris Library by Janet Skeslian Charles. The Librarian of Burned Books by Brianna Labuskis. The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. Again, skipping over to my books. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. The Book Thief by Marcus Suzak. The Wartime Book Club by Kate Thompson. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Dewar. And Codename Verity by Elizabeth Hine. So then we get into romance books, and I feel like generally do quite well with romance because I have read a lot of romance, but I am very picky now with romance. Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Eleanor Oliphant Is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This I did start reading like, I want to say honestly like 5 years ago or something, and just found it quite hard with it being a diary format, but I do want to try and give that one another go. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. One Day by David Nichols. The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Amaz. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. The Long Game, again by Elena Armas. Love at First Spite by Anna E. Collins. Marriage for One by Ella Mays. How to Be Single by Liz Tassilio. The Love Hypothesis by Ellie Hazelwood. This Time It's Real by Anne Liang. Accidentally in Love by Belinda Myson. Loveless by Alice Oseman. Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. And then Book Lover by Jennifer Kaufman and Karen Mack. So then we get into some more romance here. Again, I don't feel like this one is too bad. Again, I have read Tom Lake. The No Show and also The Switch by Beth O'Leary, which lives in here. That book I've just currently got on loan. 6 Days by Danny Atkins. Better Than Chocolate by Sheila Roberts. The Italian Marriage by Gina Lo Bianco. How to Find Love in a Bookshop by Veronica Henry. 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. Something Borrowed by Martina Riley. Then we get into all of my Nicholas Sparks books. So as you can see, I've got a bit of work to do with this author. Safe Haven, Dear John, The Last Song, The Rescue, The Choice, The Guardian, Message in a Bottle, See Me, and 2 for 2. Moving down to my small town romance shelf. Again, I haven't done too bad with this shelf. The last book in the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score, which is Things We Left Behind. I have the last book in the Maple Hills series by Hannah Grace, which is Daydream. First 4 books in the Edens series by Devney Perry. Indigo Ridge, Juniper Hill, Garnet Flats, and Jasper Vale. I have some romance books here that are parts of series. series. I cannot remember what this duology is called. I will write it on the screen, but I have these two books by Dana Schwartz, Anatomy and Immortality. The first three books in the Selection series by Kara Cass, The Selection, The Elite, and The One. I have some books in the Magnolia Parks series by Jessa Hastings. In here, I am missing Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, which again is on loan. I also have The Great Undoing, which is the second Daisy Hates book, and then Into the Dark, which is the third and final book in the Magnolia part of the Magnolia series. First book in this series, which I don't actually know what the series is called. I'll write it on the screen. So we have Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Solomon. The Complete Hollywood series by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, Malibu Rising, and Carrie Soto is back. Second book in the Influencer series by Amy Lee, X's and O's. I have the first book in this series. I think it's the Beautiful series. This is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie Maguire. Here we get into my stack of summary books, and as you can see, I have done super duper well. Happy Place by Emily Henry and A Summer Affair by Ellen Hildebrand left. So I'm very, very proud of myself for this. Moving down again to this shelf, we have more books in different romance series. Some books by Estelle Marsgame. The last three books in the Dimmerly or Did I Mention I Love You series. Did I Mention I Need You, Did I Mention I Miss You, and Just Don't Mention It, which is Tyler's story. First book in the To All the Boys I've Loved Before series by Jenny Han, again of the same name. First book in the Dreamland Billionaire series by Lauren Asher. This is the fine print. Third book in the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is Addicted for Now. First book in the Twisted series by Anna Huang, Twisted Love. And then I also have this book by Anna Huang, which is in another series that I don't know the name of. This is If We Ever Meet Again. First book in the Funny You Should Ask duology by Alyssa Sussman, again of the same name. First book in the Better Than the Movies duology by Lynn Painter. The first two books in the Me Before You series by Jojo Moyes, Me Before You and After You. Third book, I think it is, in the Maybe Meant to Be series by Christina Lauren. This is Tangled Up in You. Last but not least, we have my Sophie Kinsella books and my Colleen Hoover books. So for Sophie Kinsella, I have the last three books in the Shopaholic series. Mini Shopaholic, Shopaholic to the Stars, and Shopaholic to the Rescue. I'm so proud of myself that I only have three books left. Then we move into some of her standalone works. My Not So Perfect Life, The Undomestic Goddess, I've Got Your Number, Remember Me, 20s Girl, Love Your Life, and Finding Audrey. We have some Colleen Hoover books, and again, I've read about half of my Colleen Hoover books, so I'm really proud of myself for that. All Your Perfects, Maybe Now, which is the first book in, I think it's the Maybe series, Without Merit, Ugly Love, and Reminders of Him. On to our last Billy bookshelves. Golden Compass trilogy here by Philip Pullman. Northern Lights, The Amber Spyglass, and The Subtle Knife. First two books in the Beautiful Creatures series by Garcia Stoll. Beautiful Creatures and Beautiful Darkness. Most of the Fallen series by Lauren Kate. Fallen, Torment, Passion, Rapture, and Fallen in Love. The first book in the Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black, again of the same name. Legend Born, which is the first book in, is this a duology or a trilogy? I don't actually know. By Tracy, is it Tracy Dion? Some standalone YA fantasy books. The Christopher Robin movie novel, which I'm not sure who writes that. Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes. A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. I've probably butchered that, I'm so sorry. The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. And The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Nyx. Coming down to this fantasy shelf, again, I've probably read about half of the books on this shelf, which is great. Some Stephanie Garber books here. So I have the first two books in the Caraval series, Caraval and Legendary. And then I do actually have the complete Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy as well. I am missing my first book of the same name. Again, it's on loan and I haven't read it yet. The Ballad of Never After, which is book 2, and then The Curse of True Love, which is book 3. Last book in the Letters of Enchantment series by Rebecca Ross. Ruthless Vows. The last 2 books in the Secret Shanghai series by Chloe Gong, Foul Lady Fortune and Foul Heart Huntsman. The first book here in the Raven cycle by Maggie Steve Otter, The Raven Boys. The first book in the Belladonna series by Adeline Grace, again of the same name. First book in the Sisters of Salt series, I think it's what it's called, by Erin A. Craig, House of Salt and Sorrows. Moving down to shelf number 2, I have a lot of work to do on shelf number 2. A whole bunch of Cassandra Clare books. So we have The Infernal Devices, we have The Mortal Instruments, we have The Dark Artificers, The Last Hours, and The Bane Chronicles, which are all in the Mortal Instruments world. Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, Clockwork Princess, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, City of Heavenly Fire, Lady Midnight, Lord of Shadows, Chain of Iron, and then The Bane Chronicles. The first book in this series, which is The Chronicles of Castellane, Swordcatcher. Then I have the complete Hush Hush series by Becca Fitzpatrick, Hush Hush, Crescendo, Silence, and Finale. Move down to my Sarah J. Maas and Lauren Roberts shelf, the complete Throne of Glass series. I have read Assassin's Blade, which normally sits here, that's currently on loan. Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash. My Crescent City books at the back, House of Earth and Blood, House of Sky and Breath, and House of Flame and Shadow. The last 2 books as of me filming this video, there is one more novella coming out, I think at the end of September, Reckless and Fearless, which are in the Powerless trilogy. My vampire shelf, I have done pretty good on this bookshelf here. Midnight Sun, left in the Twilight series, Twilight Saga the official illustrated guide, again both by Stephanie Meyer. This one here is just basically like a deep dive into the world, so I want to read this when I read this to just get them both done. First 8 books in the Vampire Diaries series by LJ Smith. This one looks like it's in the Hunters series, so maybe there's 7 in the original, and then I think there's maybe it's like a spin-off series, I'm not quite sure. The Awakening and the Struggle, The Fury and the Reunion, Nightfall, Shadow Souls, Midnight, and Phantom. My first shelf of adult fantasy, the first book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent, The Serpent and Wings of the Night, Galliant by V.E. Schwab, The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, which I think is the first book in that series. I don't know if it's just called the Atlas 6 duology or if there's another name for it. The first book in the Shepherd King duology, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Some books in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. The Final Empire, and then I think this is part of the spin-off, which is The Bands of Mourning. And then The Secret History, which is basically just like a deep dive into how the world works. The first 4 books in the Plated Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy, Gild, Gleam, Glint, and Glow. And then our last shelf of adult fantasy here is mostly my husband's books, but I think I will read the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The other extra books, we recently went to Hobbiton, which I did a vlog of. If it's up, I'll link it down below. If not, it's coming soon, and it made me really want to read the Lord of the Rings, and I also feel like a fake New Zealander if I don't. These are all by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit, I read most of this when I was in school because we had to read it for school, but I just never finished it. Book 1, 3, and I think book 2 is upstairs. Fellowship of the Ring, which is book 1. I can't remember what book 2 is called. I'll write it on the screen. The Return of the King, which is book 3, and then The Silmarillion. Go to this little bookshelf here. This one we just picked up from the warehouse. So up the top we have my cozy fantasies, and all I have left in this section is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This shelf here we have some more YA fantasy, just like overflow that didn't really fit. The Host by Stephanie Meyer. We have some books here by Lee Bardugo. So we have Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising, which are the last 2 books in the Shadow and Bone duology. and then the Six of Crows duology. So Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. The first book in the Twin Crowns series by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. Some more adult fantasy. The House in the Cerulean Sea duology. I know that this book is number 2, but because it's taller, I want to have it against this wall. By T.J. Clunes, we have Somewhere Beyond the Sea and The House in the Cerulean Sea. The first book in the Poppy War trilogy, again of the same name, by R.F. Kuang. The first 3 books in the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard. Red Queen, Glass Sword and King's Cage. The first book in the Darker Shade of Magic series, again of the same name, and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, both by V.E. Schwab. This shelf here and this shelf here just has my husband's books, and these books here we borrowed from my father-in-law when we went down to Taranaki, so those are all my husband's books. Now we'll move on to this bookshelf here. So this bookshelf was a Facebook Marketplace find. I don't think I included classics in my last video, and I don't think I'm going to include them in this video. Again, I'm still kind of researching what ones I want to read. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. This book here has a bunch of classics, and I've read some of them but not all of them. So this is the Magic in the Air Volume 2 of the Junior Classics by Cromwell Collier. We have some Shakespeare, so we have Romeo and Juliet, and then just a bunch of Shakespeare's other plays in this book here. Then we have all of our classics and Tolstoy works, so again I'm going to skip through those, but you can pause the screen if you would like to know what ones we've got. Our memoirs shelf, so I'm just going to go straight through. We have The Long Road from a Broken Heart by Jeremy Scott. The rest of these I do need to do a lot of work on. Ed Sheeran, A Visual Journey by Ed Sheeran and Philip Butar. Let me know if you guys are going to his play concert. I'm going to his concert next year, so I'll be able to bring you guys along. But yeah, let me know if you guys are going to that concert too. I'm very much looking forward to it. My Story by Elizabeth Smart with Chris Stewart. Brittany Inside the Dream by Steve Dennis. Madeline by Kate McCann. Miracle in the Andes by Nando Parado. Hello Life by Marcus Butler. My James by Ralph Bolger. Beautiful Boy by David Sheff. One More Croissant for the Road by Felicity Cloak. Titanic First Accounts by Tim Moulton and Nicholas Wade. A Work in Progress by Connor Franta. Bringing Down the House by Ben Mesrich. C.S. Lewis, A Biography by A.N. Wilson. Lion by Saru Braley. Adrift by Tammy Oldham Ashcroft. Between a Rock and a Hard Place, 127 Hours by Aaron Ralston. The Diary of a Bookseller by Sean Bythel. Stolen Life by J.C. Dugard. Not Without My Daughter by Betty Mahmoodi. Moving down, we have non-fiction. Again, a little bit of work to do on this shelf. Not all of these books are mine. The Style Book by Elizabeth Walker, I'm pretty sure is mostly just pictures. The Luxe Life by Fleur de Force. Love Tanya by Tanya Burr. 1001 Little Beauty Miracles by Esme Floyd. Girl Boss by Sophia Amoruso. She's on the Money by Victoria Devine. Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. Loves Me Not, How to Keep Relationships Safe by Leslie Elliott. And Ask Elizabeth by Elizabeth Berkley. Then I'm just going to go all the way over to this little section here that I've started, which is children's classics. I don't know also if Little Women is classified as a children's classic, but I've put it down in children's classics. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. David Copperfield, I think it's originally by Charles Dickens. Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. And Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Last but not least, we have the Christian bookshelf. Again, I think we got from Facebook Marketplace. Experiencing God by Henry T. Blackaby and Claude V. King. Finally Alive by John Piper. The Cross of Christ by John Stott. The Passion of Jesus Christ by John Piper. Three Views on Creation and Evolution by Moreland and Reynolds. Things We All Have in Common by Pete Jackson. The Vanishing Conscience by John F. MacArthur. Quiet Times for Couples by Wright. The Gospel According to Jesus by John MacArthur. From this shelf up here we are also missing The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan, which we have lent out. So now we move into some C.S. Lewis, The Pilgrim's Regress, and then the last 4 books in the Narnia Chronicles, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, and The Last Battle. We have some marriage books, Fit to be Tied by Hybels, The Meaning of Marriage by Tim Keller, When Sinners Say I Do by Harvey, Vertical Marriage by Dave and Ann Wilson, and then these books here Phil and I did when we were doing marriage prep, and we're like halfway through them. So one is Phil's and one is mine. So this is Preparing for Marriage God's Way by Mac. Some of these books are mine and some are Phil's. So we'll start with my Francine Rivers. So she is a Christian fiction author. I am currently missing The Masterpiece because I have lent that out to my friend. A Lineage of Grace, Sons of Encouragement, and Redeeming Love, Brokenness, Surrender, and Holiness by Nancy Lee DeMoss. Again, the shelf is really good. I've done a lot of work on this shelf. My Rock, My Refuge by Tim Keller. That one's like a yearly devotional one, so I think I might pick that up at the start of next year and work my way through that. Practice of Godliness by Jerry Bridges. Then this little non-fiction stack of books here, Insta Style by Tessa, Beauty by Lauren Conrad, and then Tanya's Christmas by Tanya Burr. Coming over to my last stack of display books. So the first 3 books here are mine. So Simply Spaced by Lead, The Joyful Home, which is just one you can get from Kmart, and then In Love with Paris by Anne Catherine Weber. So on my husband's bedside table, I will also read this one here, which is Faithful Leaders by Rico Tice. And then for my bedside table, which I am going to include these in my count, but obviously by the time that this video goes up, these will be fully read. Current read, which is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore. I'm like about a third of the way through that. My Christian non-fiction book is Honest Evangelism by Rico Tice. Again, I'm like just over halfway. My book club pick for the month of September is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by this author. So there we go, guys. Those are all of the 402 books that I have got unread on my bookshelf. I really want to break this tradition of having more unread than the previous year. If you guys enjoyed seeing my shelves, please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Please make sure to turn on the notifications and check out my social media. It's always linked down below in the description box. If you guys would like to watch more book content, I have got a playlist on my channel called Reading, so I will leave that down below. Make sure you also follow my Bookstagram and my TikTok for more book related content. If you guys have read any of these books, let me know in the comments. Convince me to read some of them, because I definitely feel like I need to push for some of them. But other than that, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!